Yeah, for adults, again, it's interesting because many of us, there is some data that says about 80% of adults with ADHD don't know they have ADHD. If you don't know you have a condition, how can you get help for it? Which is one of the things that I'm doing right now, the outreach to adults, particularly the corporates. Number one, there's a lot of unawareness, but even if people were aware, there's a lot of misconception that we talked about earlier about ADHD. And in some societies, stigma still exists. And ADHD is sort of the interesting thing that fits in different categories and neither as well. But mental health might be one of those that is a bit of a contentious area.
Sure.
And nobody likes to say, hey, I've got a mental health issue. Right? And also fear about discrimination in the workplace or the impact on career.
Right.
Which is why there's also some issues about people coming forward.
They tend to be on the very creative side, right?
Yes.
The interest can be very focused, so you can actually learn a lot of things in a very short period of time.
I'm glad you asked that.
Can you give us a little bit more examples of those?
Yes, so I always like to quote a very established psychiatrist in this area, Dr. Edward Hallowell, who himself has ADHD. And Ned Hallowell describes the wiring of ADHD as a Ferrari engine with bicycle brakes. So if you think about it, the fact that it's a Ferrari engine means there's horsepower is there. But the brakes are not Ferrari brakes. There are bicycle brakes.
Right.
Which means there's a little bit of a mismatch.
Just a little.
A little bit, okay? Just a tad, okay? And so he said that his job was to help strengthen the brakes so that they can get stronger. So like if you think of a Formula One circuit, and Singapore has like a night race, right? When the car is going around sharp corners, if the brakes are not working properly or they're not so strong, there's a risk that the car will go off the track and crash. But if the brakes are strong, the car could safely turn and potentially even win the race. So this is what we're talking about, that self-regulation. You talked about the executive function.
Right.
That part, the self-regulation, self-management. So that's what we are focusing on as one of the areas where we hope to help people manage ADHD better.
Okay.
Yeah.
very
So you're right about the strengths. Lots of them. And you said it's the creativity, out the box thinking.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the visionaries are the ones that come up with things that change the world.
Yeah.
They
which call Bill Gates, and that's one of them.
So I think that's the fun part of it, but sometimes too much of a good thing. So even for like myself, the thing is to be able to pace ourselves. So I always remind myself life is like a marathon, not a sprint.